What happened on defense? What happened to the defense? I think it was fair to, and we'll talk about the offense, but I think it was fair for us to question whether what we saw last week from the offense, specifically the line, was fool's gold. Is this who they are? We don't know. It was the first time they'd really played that well. So to me, that was a fair question. Defense had been playing well for over a month. 4-game winning streak. They had been playing well. We were like, this is who they are. And then you get those first 2 drives of the game where Josh Jacobs just ran it up their backside, just kicked their butt up and down the field. And I'm going, well, what the hell's happening here? What did you see? Because all I heard from players post-game was, we waited too long to get started. We waited too long. I'm like, what does that mean? Did you not have the intensity? Did they do something that you hadn't seen on film during the week? What do you mean you took too long to get started? That implies the motivation or something. The intensity wasn't there. But I heard that from more than one player, and just I don't know if that's what you would chalk up, Dave, as something that just gets said.
Just gets said.
But how do you explain the first 2 drives?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's, and I'm pretty sure we're going to hear this from Mike McDonald. I thought it was perfectly described. He's like, there's a little bit of everything, or all of the above, or whatever he said, because, I mean, I saw guys going under blocks. I saw guys just getting their butts whooped at the point of attack. The other thing that stood out to me is just that it was a really well-designed drive. I mean, like the Josh Jacobs, some of the runs it was like a toss, but it was like he was like right behind him. So, he's just back there looking for, a space to run. He touched the ball 9 of the 10 times on that first drive. Mm-hmm. Jacobs did. And my comment afterwards was like, well, maybe he'll get tired. But, I mean, it was brutal. 42 yards in receptions. Guy ran for 94 yards, a touchdown. I mean, the way they designed it. And so, look, I don't want to say we were out-coached, but those plays that they were calling and just the sequence and everything, and how good Love is of just, sidearm, all kinds of different slots of throwing the ball. It was like they knew exactly what to do against our defense. Our defense hasn't looked like that in 6 weeks. Yeah. So, it was baffling to see. But, like I said, it was just one guy gets beat, another guy runs under a block, another guy not in the right spot, doesn't shed a block, just all of those kinds of things. And you just saw Josh Jacobs run with such purpose. It was like a lot of those where, like I said, there was like a little toss play. It looked like he knew exactly where he was going, like the second he got the ball. Mm-hmm. And, typically on that, he's reading it, and it's a stretch play. He was just hitting the gas. He knew exactly where to run. So, their offensive line is good, but this is just I thought it was a really well-called drive. And, that's easy to say when everything works, but everything works, right? I mean,
it felt like everything they did worked. And Mike McDonald, as you were talking about, talked about what he saw from the defense after going back and watching the tape.
We didn't start the way we needed to, in a game like that, which is just going to get the fans going. They're rocking, and you want to get it off to a great start. Green Bay, I think they have like the top point differential in the first quarter, so we knew it was important to get started the right way, and we didn't. Offensively, had some opportunities to close some drives out that we were moving the ball well early, and then that's definitely a point of emphasis for us, is getting these things closed out, these drives in positive territory. So we're going to look at that and attack the heck out of it. And defensively, I thought that our guys really responded after the first couple drives. We made a couple like schematic adjustments and how we're playing some stuff to calm everything down. And I thought after the first few drives, our guys really played hard and did a great job to keep us in the game.
Yeah, I mean, things did change for him in the second half, certainly, but it doesn't take away the damage that was done on those opening drives and how they just gut punched you all the way down the field. I mean, that was just body blow, one after another, moving down the field, and it, as you touched on, I mean, it just felt like whatever they called worked. Like, let's run this. This will work, and it does. And, you just saw a lot of mistakes. You saw some really bad tackling, just things that we hadn't seen in so long from this defense. It was really more than being frustrating. It was just kind of shocking that them losing wouldn't have been a shock. We talked about it. The Packers are a good team. This is not to take away from them at all. But just the manner in which they came out, I was really surprised by that.
Yeah, no, it was. Look, I don't want to say he was outcoached, just because I feel like if everybody does their job, I mean, like I always say with the coordinators, it's like they're not insane. Like they're not leaving the B gap open. They're not leaving the A gap open. I mean, everything is accounted for. It's just a matter of, you've got to execute that. And they won the battle at the point of attack. So, that was, and then, the other thing, sorry to bring up, but, that was just it was a terrible penalty by Woolen. Unnecessary roughness, 15 yards. And that was on I think it was on a play that they had already gotten 13 on. And so, yeah, I mean, he had a rough night. He had a really rough night, and it just didn't look like he was engaged, and he wasn't. He always kind of had that, what Chuck Knox used to call like a Brook Trout look, like, huh? Like, what's going on? Like he wasn't up with, the tempo of the game. So, and look, everybody has bad weeks. I think he's a great player, Woolen, but it's it was just one of those where that penalty really killed us. I mean, that was what kept that going and extended it into what, a 28-yard gain.
Do you, when you hear players and even coach, hey, we just took too long to get started, what does that imply to you? Is that intensity? Is that focus? Is that, what is that? They came out flat?
I'm sorry. I don't believe that. I mean, there's just no way.
That's what I was thinking. It's Sunday Night Football. You're the only show in town. This is against a very good team. You're playing for your playoff lives.
Yeah.
That couldn't have been it. It couldn't be focus or intensity.
Well, and how many times do we talk to the players and go, hey, is it still a big deal? And they're like, yeah, it's Sunday night. I mean, everybody's watching. The whole country's watching. And outside of the booths where, the Sunday Night Football team travels, and I mean, there were so many like big boxes and carts. I mean, they more than any other, it's like I think they have the most cameras and just, more producers, and there's people running around everywhere like ants in the press box, and it's a big deal. The whole country is watching. So how can you go out and not be like intense on the very first drive? I don't buy that. I think what happens is they get beat, and then you don't want to say, well, this guy did this, and every once in a while I'll throw an ex-teammate under the table. I'm like, yeah, well, I got chopped down because that guy decided to do this or that. You're not going to do that,
right?
So I mean, I just think I thought it was a combination of a bunch of mistakes and them exploiting them like perfectly. I mean, it was a perfectly called drive, I feel like, all the way down the field. So, and they just got bullied, and really it was on both of those, the first two drives. They got beat up.
Yeah, it was rough to watch.